What is your idea about the pathogenesis? Just basic 2 or 3 points, and today's topic will be the lab diagnosis and the management part. So, you already have an introductory first class of tuberculosis, and you must have read the epidemiology, the structure of the mycobacterial cell wall, and part of pathogenesis. Because you have seen this year's question, in all the questions they have asked for pathogenesis also. Pathogenesis and lab diagnosis. So these are the few NTP slides. Untreated TB case can transmit at least 10 to 15 people in a year. TB spreads through air, so it is a aerosol or droplet infections. Aerosol infections, and which is the main part of pathogenesis. How it survives in macrophage. So you must know something about the bacterial cell wall. This should have been already covered.
Projector remote type of
2% of HIV positive. Why it is important? Because now the NTP or National Tuberculosis Elimination Program has made mandatory, if a patient comes TB positive, he or she should undergo HIV test. Or if a patient comes HIV positive, TB should be excluded. So HIV-TB co-infection is an important part in National Tuberculosis Elimination Program. So these are the evaluation of NTP. Now from 2021, it is National Tuberculosis Eradication Program. This we will also read in community medicine. Now just few points before I go to lab diagnosis. This is the strategy. Prevent, build, detect and treat. That means prevention of tuberculosis, build and strengthen the supportive system, establishing policy, and treat all TB cases with high quality TB drugs. So this is the diagnostic. When we come to the diagnostic in details, but this is the NTP one slide diagnostic. These are the tests should be included in the tuberculosis program. That is microscopy, rapid molecular test, culture, and active case finding through mobile medical van has also been started. So this is the part detect and treat. Daily fixed dose regime, FDC. Fixed dose regime will be supplied from the government itself with either 4 drug or 3 drug. And injection free treatment, it can come as an explanation because newer regimes are injection free. With advent of new drug like bedaquiline, most of the MDR or mono-resistance patients are treated with bedaquiline. So bedaquiline based therapy is important. These are few parts. Already this has been discussed. Acid fast is due to mycolic acid, and the survival in macrophage is due to lipoarabinomannan. LAM in the cell wall or surface antigen, that is the main part of pathogenesis. That's why TB bacilli survives within macrophage. After that it goes. You should know these. Mycobacterium tuberculosis complex. What are the bacteria, what are the mycobacteria that are included in the Mycobacterium tuberculosis complex? Tuberculosis, Mycobacterium bovis, Mycobacterium capri, Mycobacterium africanum, Mycobacterium microti, Mycobacterium pinnipedi, and Mycobacterium cannati. So these are part of Mycobacterium tuberculosis complex. Peptidoglycan, arabinogalactan, and these already have been covered. I am not going for these. Now, has this been covered? Primary tuberculosis, secondary tuberculosis, post-primary tuberculosis in the first class? It is covered. Okay. Then, post-primary adult tuberculosis, extrapulmonary tuberculosis. Inactive TB. There are some cases latent tuberculosis or inactive tuberculosis, and how we will lead to diagnosis. That means the patient doesn't have any symptom of tuberculosis. Latent TB or inactive TB do not feel sick, do not have symptoms. They can have inactive TB for years, can develop in TB disease sometimes if some immune modulation occurs. So these are the difference between inactive TB and TB disease. Mainly cell-mediated immunity, epidemiology are covered. Now this is the mycobacteria. They are slender rod, do not stain readily. One stain resists decolorization with dilute mineral acid due to presence of myconic acid. This already covered. It can be killed at 60 degrees centigrade if 15 to 20 minutes. Culture killed exposed to direct sunlight, room temperature 6 to 8 months. Sputum can keep the bacilli alive for 20 to 30 hours. Droplet nuclei survive for 8 to 10 days. They are resistant to disinfectant, sensitive to formaldehyde and glutaraldehyde. That's why if you do a staining where you should discard the slide, should be not in hypochlorite but in 5% phenol, because otherwise the TB bacilli, if survive, there can be sprayed. So this is the laboratory diagnosis, pulmonary tuberculosis. So for laboratory diagnosis there are two types, should be divided into either a pulmonary tuberculosis and extrapulmonary tuberculosis. So pulmonary tuberculosis, what is the common specimen you should take? First about the specimen. Sputum. If patient is intubated or in ICU, bronchoalveolar lavage or tracheal aspirate can be taken as respiratory sample. And for extrapulmonary, what is the common extrapulmonary tuberculosis? What is the most common extrapulmonary tuberculosis? Extrapulmonary most common. Most common is TB lymphadenitis. TB lymphadenitis is most common. You can have tubercular meningitis, renal TB, and cutaneous TB or skin infection. So these are some extrapulmonary tuberculosis. The specimen would be different. For TB lymphadenitis, you need to have aspirate from FNAC or aspirate. TB meningitis, CSF, renal TB, urine. But here urine should be, because TB bacilli are shed intermittently, not continuously, you should take a whole morning sample for 3 days. Previously it was what was done, 24-hour sample was taken, but now the dictum is you collect urine, early morning urine, the first urine, and that is for 3 days, that urine. So that is for renal TB. Cutaneous TB may be scrofuloderma or lupus vulgaris. Commonest skin manifestation or commonest cutaneous tuberculosis is lupus vulgaris. So now sputum. Sputum, what to do with the initial sputum? So first test is smear and second is culture. So before any smear, before going to the staining part, what should be done with the sputum? First is digestion and decontamination. Any sputum sample should be digestion and decontamination. This part is required. Why it is required? Digestion and decontamination. Digestion and decontamination, why it is required? Decontamination, all of you must know, that is to decrease the commensal flora or inhibit the commensal flora from the sputum. So that inhibit other commensal flora, and digestion for releasing. As you know, tuberculosis is a aerobic and it is usually intracellular. It is there inside the macrophage or neutrophil. So within the cell, so digestion is a release the TB bacilli from the cell. Release TB bacilli from macrophage and neutrophil. Macrophage and neutrophil, it is released, that's why digestion. How it is done? Digestion and decontamination. There are few methods. What are the few methods? It was Petrov's method, was initially Petrov's method with 4% NaOH, or NALC NaOH, N-acetylcysteine. NALC NaOH, 2% NaOH with N-acetylcysteine. So it increases the chance of detection of tuberculosis. Digestion and decontamination should be done. Now in which patient you will ask for the TB test? What would be the clinical features where you ask for the TB test? What is the common manifestation for clinical features for tuberculosis? It is usually cough and along with expectoration, with fever. What type of fever usually occurs in tuberculosis? That is evening rise of temperature is common. May not be present in all the patients, but evening rise of temperature. So the main criteria should be, so the TB clinical features would be fever and cough, and may or may not associated with hemoptysis. So this is the main symptom. What other symptom? There will be weight loss and other features. So fever and the cough for more than 2 weeks. There is a duration mentioned, that is more than 2 weeks. Any patient comes to you with fever and cough for more than 2 weeks with or without hemoptysis should undergo a Jedenstedt sputum for exclusion of tuberculosis. Sputum for AFB for exclusion of tuberculosis. So these are the patients where you should go for. Other things, where renal tuberculosis will have other features, TB meningitis will have other features. So these first part. So this table shows if it is near positive, and another test you should done along with is a chest X-ray. Now chest X-ray, you already have the pathogenesis in primary tuberculosis where the lesion will be. In chest X-ray, the lesion for primary tuberculosis in children in which part? It is either in the lower part of the upper lobe or upper part of the lower lobe. That is, a primary tuberculosis usually involves that junction, the lower part of the upper lobe or upper part of the lower lobe. And in case of adult or post-primary tuberculosis, usually the upper part or apical part is involved. Along with some cavitation, you may see cavitation. These can occur in primary, post-primary or secondary tuberculosis. What else? Hilar lymph node, which will be more common in which primary or post-primary? Hilar lymphadenopathy will be more common in primary tuberculosis and it will be less common in post-primary or secondary tuberculosis. So hilar lymph nodes will be more common in. So sputum, how many samples you should collect? You should take 2 samples according to the guideline. One is spot sample, another is next morning sample, and report should be given after testing both samples, not a single sample. So after testing both sample, spot sample at patient's first visit and second sample in the early morning. Other laryngeal aspirate, gastric lavage in small children who cannot expectorate, and decontamination and concentration I have already mentioned. These are other extrapulmonary sample: urine, CSF, joint fluid, biopsy material, blood or any other body fluid, CSF from tuberculous meningitis. There is an MCQ previously, if you keep the CSF of a tubercular meningitis patient, that will form a spider web of cobweb coagulum in the CSF itself. Pleural fluid. What are suboptimal specimens? Pleural fluid 20 to 50 ml is collected and centrifuged. Blood indicated only for disseminated TB and HIV-TB co-infection. So it is very difficult to get TB from a blood culture. Swabs. Is it a good sample, swab? Swab is not at all a good sample for tuberculosis. They can only be recommended when it is a laryngeal tuberculosis, laryngeal swab collected early morning in empty stomach, and swab from discharging sinus. Discharging sinus, in which patient either scophiloderma can produce a discharging sinus or a tuberculous lymphadenitis. If you do some incision biopsy, that may produce a sinus. So from where we can get a swab. Urine I have already mentioned, 3 early morning specimen collected in a 500 ml jar for centrifuge. Disseminated tuberculosis stool can only be in HIV patient with disseminated tuberculosis. Bronchoalveolar lavage, transbronchial or other biopsies, gastric lavage for 10 to swallow sputum for the children. Already this part I have covered. Now staining. Acid fast staining you already have your practical class. So ZM staining you all know. What is the 2 most important part of ZM staining or Gill-Nelson staining? First is you need to heat. In case of the carbol-fuchsin you need to heat. That means intermittent heating. Intermittent heating is required to penetrate the mycolic acid in the cell wall. And decolorization, as I already mentioned in practical classes also, you cannot over decolorize. So you have to decolorize freely and you should know when the decolorization is complete. So, and how will you grade these? After how many fields you should call it a negative slide. At least 100 oil immersion field. If you do a Gill-Nelson staining, 100 oil immersion field, you must check before calling it negative. Microscopy, what are the advantages? It is very quick, can be done quickly. So turnaround time is very less. Rapid, easy to perform. Disadvantage, when you get a positive slide, at least 10 to the power 4 bacilli per ml. So if the amount of bacilli is less, you will get sputum AFB negative. So this is not sensitive. You need to have a 10 to the power 4 bacilli per ml. And another part, cannot determine the viability of the bacilli. If patient is being treated with antitubercular drug, TB bacilli may be dead, but sputum AFB can be positive. So what is the gold standard test for Mycobacterium tuberculosis still nowadays? What is gold standard test? Malditov. Malditov is not the gold standard test. Still the culture, how many centers in West Bengal have Malditov? How many centers in West Bengal? You are living in West Bengal. How many centers and how much they use that? There is only one center, that is CNCI Rajarhat, has got the Malditop. Even they use it very less. So Malditop is not available. So tuberculosis is not diagnosed all over West Bengal. It is diagnosed. So it is not the gold standard, and gold standard is still the culture. The culture is still the gold standard in Lowenstein Jensen media. Why? It has the, even if it is 10 to 100 bacilli, it will be positive, and culture only grows if the tubercle bacilli is viable. Bacilli is living or not, it can only be detected by the culture. Even the CBNAT or molecular test cannot detect the viability, because they detect the DNA, they don't detect the viability of tubercle bacilli, so only viability can be detected by culture. Another decolorization, what are the decolorizer used? Decolorizer commonly used is H2SO4. It may be 20% H2SO4 or 25%, as per NTP it is 20%, 25% H2SO4 is used for tuberculosis. And another decolorizer used is acid alcohol. Where 3% HCl with alcohol is used. So what is the utility of acid alcohol decolorization? Acid alcohol decolorization, it is useful in case of renal tuberculosis. Renal tuberculosis, there is a common cell called Mycobacterium smegmatis. So when you are searching renal tuberculosis, this is a common cell. So for that, acid alcohol decolorization is required, because Mycobacterium tuberculosis is both acid first and alcohol first. But Mycobacterium smegmatis is only acid first but not alcohol first. So that is the utility for the acid alcohol decolorization. Quinones cold acid first stain, that means heating is not required, but phenol concentration is increased for the penetration of mycolic acid. So phenol concentration is increased. Next, the fluorescence staining. Fluorescence staining, what is the advantage of fluorescence staining? Fluorescence staining, two type of auramine, rhodamine or auramine O. These are the two, auramine O and auramine, rhodamine. These are the two fluorescence stain used. What is the advantage of fluorescence staining? Advantage of fluorescence staining lies, you can scan the whole smear very quickly because it is seen in 40x. Not in 100x, while immersion is seen in 100x, but fluorescence microscope, the whole slide is scanned in 40x magnification. So you can scan the quickly. So that is advantage. Brilliant yellowish green bacilli, 2 minutes for 100 fields. An expert technician can screen the slide within 2 minutes. And that cannot be scanned in a normal microscope, normal light microscope. You should have a fluorescent microscope for that. So how is the laboratory confirmation? Demonstrating the bacilli in the lesion, isolating the bacilli in culture using molecular diagnostic test, and demonstrating hypersensitivity to PPD. Already I have covered. Now this is the grading. If there is, it is asked everywhere. Now this time you must have seen the question this year. They are even asked for the grading in the leprosy. And most of the question, till I have seen 15 to 20 copies of these MBBS, and none of them has written the morphological index or bacteriological index in leprosy. The question was morphological index and bacteriological index for leprosy. So the grading for more than 10 per field will be 3+, 1 to 10 per field will be 2+, 10 to 19 per 100 field 1+. That means one bacilli per field is 1 plus, 1 to 10 is 2 plus, and more than 10 in a single field is 3 plus. And 1 to 9 per 100 field is scanty, and no AFB in 100 field is negative. So this is the guideline. What is the implication? What is the utility of this grading? Why you should grade? One is it determines the severity of the disease. If a patient is 3 plus, the disease would be more severe. The spread to the other person will be also more severe. And next is the follow-up of treatment. You are treating a tuberculosis patient. If it was 3 plus and after 14 days of treatment it becomes 1 plus, that means the patient is responding to anti-tubercular drug. So two things, one is the severity of disease and the second part is response to the treatment. Culture. More sensitive, 10 to 100 viral bacilli can lead to culture positive. Drug susceptibility testing can be done. Lowenstein-Jensen media is the common culture solid media used. What are the component of media? Usually it is a egg based media. So hence egg, coagulated mineral salt solution, asparagine and malachite green. Malachite green 2% is used as for selective to inhibit other bacteria. So to inhibit other bacteria, malachite green is used. So it is a selective media. How it is sterilized or solidified? By inspissation for 3 days. So that's the Lowenstein-Jensen media. But incubation period is 6 to 8 weeks. So it takes a longer time for diagnosis of tuberculosis. You cannot call it a negative before 8 weeks of incubation. And it is an aerobic incubation. You have seen the screw capped bottle of LJ media, and that should be open in a week or twice in a week to give some oxygen within the screw cap tube, because tuberculosis bacilli is strictly aerobic. What is other strictly aerobic bacilli you will read? Any idea? Pseudomonas is another strictly aerobic other than tuberculosis. So this is LJ media, and there is some difference between the growth of Mycobacterium tuberculosis and Mycobacterium bovis. Mycobacterium tuberculosis give a rough, tough, buff colony, and bovis gives a smooth, moist and white colored colonies, which break up easily when touched. And tuberculosis is a dysgonic growth and bovis is a eugonic growth. So this is a gold standard for diagnosis. Optimum temperature 37 degrees centigrade. Now automated liquid culture. Liquid culture, what are the advantage? Automated liquid culture, BACTEC, BACT alert or MGIT, the three methods of automated liquid culture. MGIT is a fluorescent based system. What is MGIT? Mycobacterium growth indicator tube. Other BACTEC and BACT alert, these are the automated system. So MGIT is most commonly done, that is an fluorescent based system of liquid culture. What is the advantage or what are the advantages of liquid culture? That can give growth within 2 weeks or 20 days. 2 weeks, or in some book it is 20 days. So 6 to 8 weeks is not required. Liquid culture, automated culture can give sign of growth within 2 weeks. Middlebrook 7H9 media with OA-DESI enrichment, oleic acid, albumin, dextrose and catalase, or Panta antibiotic, polymyxin B, amphotericin B, nalidixic acid, trimethoprim and azithromycin. These are the antibiotic mixture that is given in the liquid media to inhibit the growth of other bacteria. So Panta, you should remember, and OA-DESI enrichment for Middlebrook 7H9. MGIT tube, mycobacterial growth indicator tube, oxygen sensitive fluorescent compound in the broth and large amount of dissolved oxygen quenches the emission. Quenching effect is lost if the organism grow and use oxygen. If they use oxygen, is a strict aerobic, so tuberculosis will use the oxygen and that will give the fluorescence. Other things, Versatec and Bactalert, MPT64 antigen detection by rapid immunochromatographic test from the growth, rabbit pathogenicity test, Mycobacterium bovis is pathogenic to rabbit, Mycobacterium tuberculosis is not pathogenic, these are not done nowadays. Some biochemical tests, niacin, nitrate reduction and pyrogenemate test, almost obsolete nowadays, these are not done. Liquid media, these are few examples of liquid media, Middlebrooks 7H9, Solus and Sutton's media. Drug sensitivity. Remember this slide. Now the questions are being difficult in your MBBS also. These were previously taught in only MD. But so you should remember these are the conventional method for drug sensitivity testing because MDR TB is on rise. So absolute concentration method, resistance ratio method and proportion method. They are conventional, they time taken for growth before the reading can be taken. So they are time taking. Like the culture, these are also time taking conventional method for drug sensitivity testing. At least remember these three names: absolute concentration method, resistance ratio method and 1% proportion method. Now PCR and the molecular method. What is the molecular method now recommended? What are the molecular method you can do? One is PCR, gene probe, line probe assay and what is commonly done is CBNAT. CBNAT. So these two are not regularly done nowadays. Line probe assay, what is the utility of line probe assay? This is a reverse hybridization. Know little about it, short note can come about line probe assay. Reverse hybridization, and this is used for drug sensitivity of the second line and first line drug. So line probe assay is the molecular test for drug sensitivity, line probe assay. And what is the mechanism? This DNA probe is reverse hybridization principle. Reverse hybridization principle is used for line probe assay and it is used for the drug sensitivity testing for first line and all first line and second line drugs by line probe assay. Next is GeneXpert. CBNAT. There is this is the generic name for Scottish based nucleic acid amplification test. This part is nucleic acid amplification test. Any PCR is nucleic acid amplification test and cartridge based. This is cartridge. Cartridge based nucleic acid amplification test and advantage turnaround time. Duration of the test is 2 hours only. So you can detect the tuberculosis along with the drug resistance by within 2 hours. So turnaround time in culture it is taking 6 to 8 weeks, but CBNAT it is only 2 hours. Initial CBNAT machine used to detect Mycobacterium tuberculosis and rifampicin resistance. Rifampicin resistance by RPOB gene. So RPOB gene for rifampicin resistance, now CBNAT can detect most of the first line and second line drugs resistance can be detected by CBNAT itself. So there are two company or two, one is GeneXpert by CAFID and another is TrueNat. Because sometime examiner know this name only GeneXpert. So GeneXpert is a company name, particular company. CAFID is GeneXpert and TrueNAT is another for India. These are the two CBNAT cartridge-based nucleic acid amplification test. What is the type of PCR in CBNAT? It is nested real-time PCR, nested PCR. Why nested? First it detects the tuberculosis and then detects the RPOB gene within the tuberculosis. So this is a nested real-time PCR. Nested real-time PCR. So what is the principle of CBNAT? That is a nested real-time PCR. What it detects? It usually detects for tuberculosis IES 6110 gene. IES 6110 gene is detected by CBNAT. What it detects? An RPOB gene for rifampicin. Other genes, MPD64, these can be detected. Rapid time 2 hours, it is a real-time nested PCR, MTB complex DNA and rifampicin resistance, no contamination, it employs single-use disposable syringe. Whether you can, where they are written in their SOP is, you can do digestion and decontamination, you may not do digestion decontamination. You can put directly the sample in the cartridge and do the test within 2 hours. So that is another advantage for GeneXpert or CBNAT. Now WHO recommends GeneXpert or the CBNAT as the initial test using CSF. It can detect 131 bacilli per ml. Detection of tuberous bacilli, it is 88% sensitive and 99% specific. It is 95% sensitive and 98% specific. This is the cartridge and this is GeneXpert. These slides they have mentioned, this I have taken from NTP slide, that's why I have mentioned GeneXpert. You better mention it is a CBNAT and the company name is GeneXpert. I have directly taken this slide from NTP, there they have written GeneXpert because GeneXpert is available in most of the government setups. So TrueNAT is another name, developed in India, point of care. What is the disadvantage of TrueNAT to CBNAT? TrueNAT, it is a two-stage procedure. First you detect the DNA, second you detect the rifampicin resistance, but CBNAT is a single-step procedure. GeneXpert is a single-step procedure. In total, TrueNAT, there you need to do 2 times that turnaround time, that 2-time test to be done. One is for TB, another for rifampicin. If TB is detected, that is TrueNAT. Line probe assay I already mentioned, detection of mutation and drug resistance, it is a reverse hybridization. Now presumptive TB, now how will you detect latent tuberculosis? Latent tuberculosis, what is to be detected? One is presumptive TB and latent TB. 2 tests, either you can do a Mantoux test or an IGRA, interferon gamma release assay. This is 0.1 ml, purified protein derivative injected intradermally. It is intradermal test, purified protein derivative, that is usually equivalent to 5 tuberculin unit. Mantoux test, how will you read the Mantoux test? After how many hours you will read the Mantoux test? It is usually between 48 to 72 hours after intradermal injection. How will you read the Mantoux? What will you see in Mantoux test reading? You will see the induration, not the erythema. If it is a red erythema, there will be erythema around the induration, but you measure by scale the induration part. So induration to be measured, if it is more than 10 millimeter of induration, it is positive. Induration is the thing to be measured, induration. More than 10 millimeter is positive. What is the drawback? Even it is positive with BCG vaccination. It is not diagnostic, it gives an idea the patient was exposed to tubercular bacilli. So Mantoux test is even positive with BCG vaccination, but IGRA is not positive with BCG vaccination. what is the method? Gamma interferon release assay, gamma interferon release assay. What is the method of doing this? What is the sample taken? Its sample is blood. T lymphocyte is isolated, and this is a ELISA method. And it is not positive with BCG vaccination. Even after BCG vaccination, IGRA is negative. So that is another advantage, but it is costly, it is cheaper in Indian context. Still we use Mantu. In other developed countries, they mostly use the IGRA. And they are specific tubercular antigen, those are checked ESAT6 and CFP10. These are the two antigens that is checked in IGRA, ESAT6 and CFP10, usually against the T lymphocytes. So blood is the specimen, and by ELISA or ELISpot method. So these are the two for diagnosing latent tuberculosis. So this is presumptive TB. First it is, if other tests put up negative, you go for CBNAT. Even if it's CBNAT negative, you can go for the line probe assay and repeat CBNAT from another center, another nodal center. So CBNAT, if it is negative from a peripheral center, you can send the patient, if the physician is confident the patient having TB, other symptoms of TB, but that cannot be diagnosed, you can do a repeat CBNAT from the nodal center and also the rifampicin resistance. Now these are the things. Treatment. What is your idea for drug sensitive TB? Drug sensitive TB treatment regime is, first is HRZE, intensive phase 2 months, and for HRE for 4 months. So it has been changed after 2021. First it was 4 drug and 2 drug. Now it is 4 drug and 3 drug, and even in children ethambutol is used. So HRZD, that is rifampicin, INH, rifampicin, pyrazinamide and ethambutol. If any adverse effect to these 4 drugs occur, you can use injection streptomycin. Dose I am not discussing. 5 milligram per kg of body weight, some is more than last 2 is 15 milligram per kg of body weight, rifampicin is 20 to 30 milligram per kg of body weight that is used, and 4 drug fixed drug combination is available. This is for pulmonary tuberculosis. This is mainly for pulmonary tuberculosis. What to be added if it is a tubercular meningitis? Tubercular meningitis, drug sensitive tubercular meningitis, anything to be added for meningeal tubercular meningitis? Other than these anti-tubercular drugs, for tubercular meningitis, steroids should be given. For TB meningitis, steroids should be given either 0.4 milligram per kg of dexamethasone, or 1 milligram per kg for oral prednisolone. So for both children and adult, the steroid should be added in case of tubercular meningitis. Either 0.4 milligram per kg of dexamethasone or 1 milligram per kg of prednisolone for TB meningitis, TBM. And for abdominal tuberculosis, steroid should not be added. Steroid should never be added in case of abdominal tuberculosis. So steroid will be added only in case of tubercular meningitis other than anti-tubercular drug. Now, what are the types of drug resistance? Previously, there are only two types of drug resistance, MDR and XDR. These are the two, but now there are H monoresistance. You should remember the definition also because this can be asked. H monoresistance, polyresistance, MDR, pre-XDR and XDR. Because treatment is different for all these. So what is H monoresistance? H monoresistance means it is resistance to INH. H monoresistance is resistance to INH. What is H polyresistance? INH plus any drug but not rifampicin. Any of the first line drug but not rifampicin is H polyresistance. So H monoresistance resistance to, what are the two genes for either CAT-G or INH-A? These are the two resistance drugs should be detected for INH, CAT-G gene. One is even if both the genes are resistant, then it is even high dose INH is also resistant. So that is H monoresistant. H polyresistance, INH is resistant, plus any of the first line drug other than rifampicin is resistant. Then another is rifampicin resistance. Only that is resistance to rifampicin. Rifampicin resistance, there should be given any drug in rifampicin resistance. So other than rifampicin, all other drug. Now what is given for rifampicin resistance? Usually one quinolone is added. Quinolone is added, either levofloxacin or moxifloxacin. Other three drugs remain same. So levofloxacin or moxifloxacin is added in case of only rifampicin resistance, that is not resistant to INH or other drug. So you can use one only quinolone. Now what is MDR? It was same as it was previously. It is resistance to rifampicin and INH. So this is MDR-TB, resistance to both rifampicin and INH is MDR-TB. Now what is pre-XDR? It is MDR plus resistance to any fluoroquinolone. That means it may be resistance to levofloxacin, it may be resistance to moxifloxacin and ofloxacin. So these either of any fluoroquinolone is pre-XDR. So first is H monoresistance, H polyresistance, MDR, rifampicin and INH resistance. Next is pre-XDR, means it is resistance to MDR, resistance to rifampicin and INH plus one of the fluoroquinolone. One of the fluoroquinolone, if it is resistant, that is called pre-XDR. And XDR definition was previously what? MDR plus one of the injectable. But the new definition is MDR plus fluoroquinolone plus one group A drug. So what are the group A drugs? Group A drugs are bedaquiline or any fluoroquinolone or any linezolid. Fluoroquinolone, it is bedaquiline and linezolid. Either bedaquiline or linezolid resistance is group A drug. So bedaquiline or linezolid resistance. So this is the whole resistant pattern of tuberculosis. H monoresistance, polyresistant, MDR, then pre-XDR and then XDR tuberculosis. Oh, already I have discussed this. Rifampicin resistance detected. How will you prove? Second specimen tested for line probe assay. What is the tested? If fluoroquinolone, if rifampicin resistance, only rifampicin resistance detected, then you should go for an line probe assay. Line probe assay, I have already mentioned, is the reverse hybridization for detecting the drug sensitivity. So line probe assay for fluoroquinolone, for second line, and for levofloxacin and bedaquiline, cefazolin, moxifloxacin, linezolid, and dalamine. These are the second line drugs. These are two new drugs are bedaquiline and dalamine, and most of the now the therapy for MDR are bedaquiline based. Bedaquiline you should know even in your pharma and your community medicine. After completing all these, no additional resistance detected or INH resistance detected or CAT-G or INHA. These are the two gene for INH resistance, and fluoroquinolone resistance not detected, shorter oral bedaquiline therapy. Shorter oral bedaquiline therapy and longer bedaquiline therapy if any resistance is present. Shorter bedaquiline therapy is recommended for MDR. In resistance to other component has been excluded. No previous treatment for 1 month. Bedaquiline containing MDR and resistant TB has given. Drug susceptibility testing already done. Other inclusion criteria: children 5 to less than 18 years of age, weighing at least 15 kg, no history of exposure to previous treatment. Regime is bedaquiline, levofloxacin, ethionamide or clofazimine for than 1 month has not been taken. No extensive TB disease. Already mentioned. So these are the treatment methods. What are the drugs given? It should be bedaquiline based therapy. If it is rifampicin resistant, we can give high dose INH. And if it is rifampicin INH resistant, we have to go for other drug like quinolones, linezolid, and bedaquiline is there. But bedaquiline for longer, what is the duration of longer bedaquiline therapy? Shorter bedaquiline therapy is for 6 months and longer bedaquiline therapy for 18 months. But bedaquiline should be continued for the first 6 months and other drugs should continue for last 12 months. So longer bedaquiline based therapy is for 18 months. Immunodiagnosis I have already mentioned. Now these are the false negative. In case of Mantoux test, they can be give some false negative in miliary tuberculosis, in sarcoidosis, severe malnutrition, and immunosuppressive therapy. These are the treatment regime. 6 months if it is H monoresistance or H polyresistant. Treatment should be with levofloxacin, rifampicin, ethambutol and pyrazinamide. Shorter bedaquiline, first 4 to 6 months, bedaquiline should continue. For the next 6 months, levofloxacin, clofazimine, pyrazinamide, ethambutol, and H means high dose INH, and etoposide or clofazimine and pyrazinamide. Shorter injectable if a patient willing to take a injectable regime, then moxifloxacin, kanamycin or amikacin, clofazimine, pyrazinamide, high dose INH and ethambutol, and followed by the next 5 months with moxifloxacin, clofazimine, pyrazinamide and ethambutol. Now this intensive period can be extended if the response is not proper. If it is MDR or XDR TB, 18 to 20 months, first 6 months is bedaquiline, and linezolid, clofazimine and cycloserine should continue for next 12 months. So this is for longer duration bedaquiline therapy. Bit difficult to remember. This is TB preventive treatment. Sometimes it comes, how will you prevent? A mother is tubercle positive, bacilli AB positive, what to be done? 6 months of INH monotherapy, 3 months weekly of pyrazinamide and H and levofloxacin for 6 months who have in contact, and 4 months of daily rifampicin in context of INH resistant patient. At least you remember the INH prophylaxis. 6 months of INH prophylaxis in TB preventive treatment. Now, one thing I have not covered, that BCG vaccination. When it should be given, BCG vaccination, and which is the strain used in BCG vaccination in India. BCG vaccination should be given, either it may be direct or indirect. In India, what is followed? In India, it is followed the direct, where TB prevalence is high, so it should be get 0 dose, that means at birth, should be given at birth. Indirect for other developed country, where TB prevalence is low, the BCG vaccination, they are given after 1 year of age and after doing Mantoux test. If Mantoux negative, BCG vaccination is given. But in our case, it given 0 dose or at birth, intradermal. What is the strain you should able to say? What is the strain used for BCG vaccination? In India, it is Danish 1331 strain of Mycobacterium bovis, and it is produced in Chennai. So Danish 1331 Mycobacterium bovis strain. And how will you know this is successful? Successful BCG vaccination, how will you know the vaccination is successful? After 6 to 8 weeks will be healthy scar, and where it is given? It is given intradermal below the insertion of deltoid. Deltoid insertion in niche dewa hoy, and there will be healthy scar at 6 to 8 weeks. So intradermal Danish 1331 strain of Mycobacterium bovis given intradermal below the insertion of deltoid and a healthy scar after 6 to 8 weeks. Any question from your side? You should know in any bacteria or any infectious disease, know the organism. That Mycobacterium tuberculosis complex, you should remember what are the components of Mycobacterium tuberculosis complex. You should know something about pathogenesis and what is the lab diagnosis and management also, and vaccination. Because if the question comes management of the disease, write the vaccination also.